All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the recording. And so Courtney and I are on tonight. We're gaining momentum. She's muted, but you guys can probably see her because I'm recording. So she's cooking and living her life. And guess what? That's kind of what this business is about, is just, managing, and you can still hop on the call. And I did post that a little bit late. Like if you have kids and stuff, I can mute your line. So no matter what's going on, you can still hop on the call if you need to. So want to, whatever. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about your why. And I got a couple of videos to show you. It's interesting. I just started my leadership classes at the university, Western Illinois University, and he showed both of these clips on our first day, but it has to do with leading with purpose. And when you start to build your team, it's really important to know your why. And so we talk a lot about knowing your why for fitness, but actually tonight we're focused more on the business. So knowing your why for the business, so it drives you. So when things are crazy and out of control, you can refocus and make sure that you get that time in to work your business too. So I'm going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint and we'll start there. So, all right. So we're talking about your why, and then also adding to your network and anything that I don't get to tonight. Again, we do these every other Sunday, or at least I'm hosting every other Sunday at this point, because that is what I can do. So this kind of came straight from the Beachbody training guide, which we talked about last week. I'm moving myself around so I can read it. But he who has a why can endure anyhow. And so it's so important to have a why. I can't stress it enough that if your why isn't on point and isn't emotional and moves you, it's not going to be big enough. So you have to really dig and think about that. And I have some questions to kind of help you do that. But your why is the reason you became a Beachbody coach. So for me, I really wanted to help people, but also to stay accountable for myself, because when I'm coaching and I'm consistent with it, it keeps me consistent with my health and nutrition too, because I don't want to be a hypocrite and say, hey, do this, but not be doing it myself. But don't let this simple explanation fool you. Having a clear why is one of your most powerful tools as a coach. A meaningful why will push you through obstacles, will help you stay focused on your goals, will help you connect with others in a meaningful way. Most new coaches can struggle to identify a meaningful why for themselves, because this might be new to you to think about something that drives you or that you're passionate about, that, to begin to dream again. Because as we leave high school, or as we even grow up into high school from being kids, we forget how to dream and we forget why we're doing things. So your why is extremely important. So knowing why you're a coach will give your business a sense of purpose that will make it easier to connect with others. So people are drawn to people who have a sense of purpose because it gives you some common ground to build on. It all starts with your why. And that phrase is really important. Like, it all starts with your why, because we talk about your niche like later on as I keep doing these videos. And so finding what Beachbody calls your tribe, your people, the people that really connect with you, that are as crazy as you or as organized as you or, as OCD as you might be, in my case. So sharing who you truly are. And that's why, I said that a lot in the last video. It's just as important when you're talking about your why, because when you know your why and you know your purpose, then you're constantly driving your business and your social media posts and your challenge groups with your why. So it's one of the most important topics that you can cover. It is not letting me switch, which is weird. Okay, so consider the following questions to help you. Where do you add value to others? So where do you add value to others? So think about the people around you and how you add value to their lives, and add that into your why. What are some of your personal strengths? So things that you are really good at and do better than anybody else that you know. Those are your personal strengths. These are hard for us to think about and to talk about because we are so focused on our weaknesses all the time, all the things that we do wrong, all the things we're not good at. And it's so easy to come up with those. Like if I had you make a list of all the things that were wrong with you, you could probably go on for days. But I ask you, what are your strengths? And a lot of times we struggle to think about those. So ask yourself that question. What makes you come alive? What are you passionate about? What makes you excited to get up in the morning and to live your life? How will you measure success in your life? So some people measure that by the good deeds that they do. Some people measure that maybe by money or power or um, who you have in your life. So think about how you measure success in your life, because you can really make this business whatever you want it to be. And so I'll give you an example of that. We had somebody on our team that didn't want to do this for money, and he felt horrible when he was selling the products and things because he felt like he was making gains off other people. So he actually started to do it for charity and started to donate everything that he made in the business to charity. So, I mean, we all define success differently in our lives. This business will be different for everybody. So find out what it is to you and what it means to you. How can Beachbody help with the important things in your life? So is it just paying off a couple bills? Is it paying for your products? It might be starting a huge business because you're struggling in every area of your life and nothing's worked and this is the only thing left to do. And you're kind of like at rock bottom and there's nowhere else to go. So, make a list. How can Beachbody help with that? And then why does it matter to you? Why does Beachbody matter? Why this company with these people? Is it because of your success with the products? Is it because of the people you've met? So really think about those. So those are kind of some really good questions to help drive your why and help you to think about what your why is. Okay, so we're going to take a break on that. And I have 2 videos to show you guys. I'm gonna put that away. Stop share for a minute. My poor baby. I can hear him crying in the background because mom or dad's giving him a bath. Okay. No, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, guys. You know how it is. Don't understand when that's there. Okay, here we go. So this first guy, his name is Simon Sinek. And actually, at one of my Super Saturdays, or maybe the first summit I went to, Simon was actually there and spoke to us. But this video was shown in my leadership class this weekend. And it's also, I went into our Coach Basics guide, and it's one of the videos that they suggest showing. So I hit it in 2 spots. I'm not going to show the whole video. It's 18 minutes long, but I'm going to show the first part of it, talking about why your why and the purpose is so important, especially if you're leading a team and building your business. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. And then I'll probably stop about halfway through. I think it's about 10-minute mark. And then I have another more emotional one to show.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. And that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain, looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job. It's to hire people who believe what you believe. I always say that, you know, there's if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears. And nowhere else is there a better example of this than with the Wright brothers. Most people don't know about Samuel Pierpont Langley. And back in the early...
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there, but I did put the link on the PowerPoint too, so you can watch the rest of it. He'll talk about the Wright brothers, and there was a competitor that was making planes at the same time, and why the Wright brothers was able to do it first and things like that. But how powerful when he talks about like the brain, and I feel like that's extremely true. When we're passionate or driven or connected to something emotionally, we're much more likely to follow that person or to believe or to trust that person. So when you're building your team and you're talking about your business part of things, you really want a clear vision of why you're doing this, because you're going to attract other people that have that same why as to why they want this business as well. So the other video, there's actually this comedian and he goes around, but this is kind of a actual depiction of the difference between just doing something and then knowing why you do something. So I'll let you watch this.
Oh, what's up, YouTubers? This is comedian Michael Jr. I just did a stand-up comedy show in Winston-Salem. That was fun. Winston-Salem, home of the Winstons, the Salemses. It's some good people there, like for real. Anyway, I was there doing stand-up, and I said to myself, you know what? It's break time. For those that don't know, Michael Jr.'s break time is exactly that. In the middle of my stand-up comedy, I stop doing it, sit down, and just kick it with the people. Check it out. Just some random dude. I don't even know who he is. We just start kicking it, and look what happens. Let me talk to the brother right there. Yeah. What's your name, bro?
Daryl.
I'm gonna need you to slow down with your rap, bro. For real, you're scaring the white people. You can't do that, Daryl.
I'm sorry, bro.
You're scaring me too, though. Wow. Well, what do you do for a living, Daryl?
I work at Oak Ridge Military Academy. I'm the music director there.
Musical director at Oak Ridge Musical Academy. Okay.
Yeah.
You got a deep voice, man. I would not want to get you, man. Jonathan, come here. You're like, oh, snap. 9 Jonathans show up. Amazing, dude. So you're a musical director.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? We didn't plan this, just so y'all know. We didn't plan this at all. I'm just randomly talking. Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. There you go. Ridiculous. Dude is just sitting in the audience with all of this skill, all this talent that I don't even know about. Wonder if you got some skills and some talents that folks don't know about that you kind of holding on to. There you go. Couple things I need you to do, like for real. Then you just gonna laugh and then I don't want you to do nothing? That's not how, this is give and take. It's not take and take. I need you to subscribe. Don't just be watching the video just to watch the video. Subscribe, tell some friends about it. Leave a comment. I'm gonna be reading the comments, for real. Me, I don't got.
Okay, so the purpose of that is like, when I seen it, it gave me goosebumps when I thought about it, because the first time he asked him to sing it, it was just, hey, sing this. So there was no purpose, there was no why, there was no anything. And then the second time when he gave him a purpose and a reason, it was mind-blowing, like blew the audience away. And so that's how important your why is. Once you find your why, it gives you passion, people will follow you, people will listen to you. And so that's why we always talk about our why. It's so important, especially when we start talking about like sharing your story or parts of your story with people. So, all right, so back to the slideshow. We don't have a whole lot of time left, and that's okay, because that's how I roll. All right, so just real quick, we're going to talk about adding to your network this week. And I'm just going to cover some of the tools, because I always want to direct you back to the tools. So you're not reliant always on your upline, that you can become more independent. Like you're like, what was she talking about? I can tell you where to go get it so that you can go find it. And so I'm going to talk about keeping a list and keeping track of who you talk to. If you can't think of people, I'm going to show you the memory jogger tool. Just real quick talk about social media and how to invite, and then direct you to a tool as well. And then we aim for 2 people a day as far as adding to your network. So whether that be on social media or people that you meet in person, just adding 2 new people to your network a day. And we'll talk about building relationships later, but this is just about adding to your day. And one of the tools I'll show you, we'll talk about the 5-step process to inviting, but that's actually going to be our next webinar in 2 weeks. I'll do a 5-step process and then also talk about like the follow-up at that time. So as I show these tools, the last slide on here, just again, directing you to the resources. So teambeachbody.com is always the resource. Facebook, Platinum Dynasty, and Rising Star groups are resources in the file section. And then the 2 videos that I showed you today, these are just the links to those as well. So I'm going to close that, save this presentation. Okay. All right, so we talked about this last time, just the training. And So when you sign into teambeachbody.com, if you don't know how to do this, go ahead and watch 4 Vital Behaviors, the first video. But this is under the news and training like we talked about before. So one of the things that we talked about was the memory jogger. And so this is actually under Coach Business Starter. So after you've completed everything under Getting Started, you would go to Coach Business Starter and learn how. And the memory jogger is a good way to add to your network and start making your list. So we always want to have a list and work from a list. And in this case, we know way more people than we probably think we know. And this helps us. So it kind of just you start making your list. So you write down your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your in-laws, your siblings, your children, your aunts, your uncles. Doesn't matter if you're going to invite them to a challenge or invite them to the business, just write them down so they're there. Or Courtney actually has an amazing tracking sheet, and maybe she can repost it for us so that we can go ahead and put that on there. So I still like paper and pen sometimes. A lot of people like the electronic version of things because you can update it easy and have access to it all the time. But again, so babysitters, school groups, think about your Facebook friends, your Instagram friends, your Snapchat friends. Think about people with fitness and or financial interests. So individuals who might want to get in shape, or maybe that coworker that's always talking about wanting to lose weight, those kinds of things. So again, the memory jogger is really good to start making that list, because sometimes it's hard to think about it, like your doctors and your dentists and I don't know. So it just kind of helps jog your memory on things. This is the contact list that they have in the back office, again, under that training resource. You always want name and email and phone number. And the email is really important now because we do a lot of challenge tracking and things like that using the new app, and you need the email for that. So make sure that you're getting all of that information. Sorry, my throat's like dying. So this particular tracking form tracks the 5-step invitation. And so again, we'll talk about that next week, but this is a good place to start your contact list, or again, just a sheet of paper, or, Courtney's got her own method. I think we all kind of have different things. I use Google Docs to track things. Okay, so expanding your market. Again, this is under the training. So it will, if you're clicking under here, all of these things are PDFs under your training guide of Learn How. And we talked about that last week. So expanding your market, it gives you different ideas. So Facebook, Twitter, blogging, YouTube, don't know how to do it? That's okay. Getting started with Facebook. It has the links to figure out how to use those social media platforms. And it's important because to build your business as big as you want it, you're going to need social media. So you have to kind of educate yourself about how to do some of those things. Again, methods. So consider who you know. Again, there's another link for memory jogger, which we just kind of looked at. Referrals, asking your friends. So say, I'm going to use Courtney because she's on here. If I ask Courtney, hey, are you interested? I'm doing a 5-day free eating group. Would you be interested? And she's like, no, not really. It's not the right time for me. Okay. Do you have anybody that you know that might be interested in it? And that you can get a lot of referrals from people, or people like that are your customers and they're not ready to sign up as a coach yet. Start getting referrals from them, because as they give you each referral, you can kind of say, hey, those could have been your people, but thanks for the referral. So I don't like these, but to each their own. Again, you make it your own. So shake and share home parties, you can host them. You can go to your friends' houses and host them. You bring your Shakeology. The link's right there on how to hold it. Fit Club, Wear and Share. Wear and Share is just kind of what we all wear, different Beachbody programs, or your team name, or the shirts that you get when you complete a program. That's all Wear and Share. Community involvement. Get involved with your community activities, like your child's athletic groups, church groups, professional groups. All of that will help add to your network. Volunteering, same thing. And meetup groups, same thing. One thing that I noticed on online social groups is now I'm on all these horse groups because I was actually looking for a horse at one point. But I've had like 3 or 4 people that have become customers out of those groups. You start talking about a horse that you were interested in or something like that. So think about your interests. Were you into sports? Were you into horses? Were you into crafts? I mean, the world's your oyster. I don't know. Think about all of those different things. All right, so that's expanding your network. Again, this is all under the training. So if you're like, man, she's talking really fast, go back to that first video and look at how I got to all this training stuff. So, all right, so we're at 6:36. So we're exactly at 30 minutes. And so as far as following up with new customers and the follow-up tracker, we'll touch on that next week. But the key is in the follow-up. Everything's in the follow-up. If you ask somebody and they say, I need to look at the video, and then you send them a video and you don't get back to them, chances are they probably forgot. Not that they don't want to, but life is busy. We all get busy and forget things. So making sure to follow up if you're inviting people to a challenge. So just kind of to review as far as adding to your network, get familiar with the memory jogger to start making your list. And make sure that you're putting that list somewhere, whether it's an electronic Excel sheet or just a pad of paper, notebook paper. And then taking a look at this training and guide for expanding your market on social media. And so we always aim for at least 2 a day. So, all right. I think that is it for tonight. So I can stop sharing. I hope you guys all have a good week and get a chance to watch this video. And again, we're going to have another one in 2 weeks. I wish I had my calendar on me, but I don't. So, but I'll post it in that event page. I'll always repost the date and time, but 2 Sundays from now, every other Sunday. So, all right, have a good week, guys. Bye.